Okay, all the best. Namaskar and welcome to this special presentation on DD India. Now, in a short while from now, Prime Minister Narendra Modi is going to be participating in the historic Dharam Dhwaj, or the flag hoisting. It's a historic flag hoisting at Sri Ram Temple in Ayodhya. And to take us through this special program, I'm Mark Lynn, and with me is Shubhendu Ghosh.
Thank you, Mark. Yes, the Dharam Dhwaja ceremony marks important milestone. It indicates the completion of Sri Ram Temple in Ayodhya. As Prime Minister Narendra Modi participates in various ceremonies, we will connect with our correspondent on the ground and also guests to better understand the importance of this day. Ayodhya once again stands on the threshold of a grand celebration. Tuesday witnesses sacred religious flag Dharam Dhwaja being hoisted atop the pinnacle of the Sri Ram Temple. Crores of Ram devotees across the country and the world are eagerly waiting for the darshan of this holy flag that will flutter at a height of 191 feet. The holy city is drenched in devotion, enthusiasm and spiritual energy. Our colleague Gautam Roy gets us more from Ayodhya.
Ayodhya is ready to dazzle once again. The birthplace of Lord Ram is putting its best foot forward. The occasion is the hoisting of the Dharam Dhwaj, or the sacred flag, on the Ram Janmabhoomi temple. Devotional songs dedicated to Lord Ram are playing on the streets of Ayodhya. Bhajans and kirtans are being performed all around. On Tuesday, at an auspicious moment, the religious flag will be hoisted atop the Ram temple at its highest point. The entire city of Ayodhya has been adorned like a bride for the occasion.
Flag hosting ceremony on the top of the main temple. Main temple means Ram Janmabhoomi temple. So the flag will reach up to the top of 191 feet high from the zero level or the ground level or the courtyard level.
The sacred flag will be hoisted on the temple at a height of 191 feet. The Dharam Dhwaj is 22 feet in length and 11 feet wide. The flag weighs 2.5 kgs and bears the symbol of the sun. It signifies the emblem of the Surya Vansh, or the solar dynasty, along with the Om symbol. Prime Minister Narendra Modi will participate in this ceremony along with RSS Chief Dr. Mohan Bhagwat. The Prime Minister's roadshow is to start from Saket Mahavidyalaya and proceed up to the Ram Mandir. Amid the chanting of Vedic mantras, the saffron-colored flag will be hoisted on the temple's pinnacle. An atmosphere of celebration and enthusiasm prevails throughout Ayodhya regarding the flag hoisting program. The hoisting of the flag symbolizes that the temple is now complete.
It is the symbol of dedication, samarpana. So it is a very pious flag. This is the significance of this flag. And the ceremony indicates that the construction of the main temple is more or less complete. Temple work is complete.
Uttar Pradesh Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath has also written a letter to the people of the state. He has said that Ayodhya has regained its glory through the sacrifices of countless saints, Ram devotees and warriors.
Lord Ram is among the most revered deities in the 33 types of deities, gods and goddesses in the Hindu faith. The completion of a temple in Ayodhya at his birthplace is of tremendous significance to those who not only follow the religion, but also the belief that Ram is truth, Ram is sacrifice, he's valor, and also the fulfillment of the destiny of the greatness of India. With camperson Sunil, Gautam Roy, Ayodhya, DD India.
Now let's look at Prime Minister Narendra Modi's itinerary for Ayodhya. The Prime Minister will visit the Sri Ram Mandir in Ayodhya to mark the momentous occasion in the nation's socio-cultural and spiritual landscape. At around 10 a.m. IST, the Prime Minister will visit the Sapta Mandir, which houses temples related to
Maharshi Vashishta, Maharshi Vishwamitra, Maharshi Agatsya, Maharshi Valmiki, Devi Ahilya, Nishad Raj Guha and Mata Shabri. This will be followed by a visit to Sheshavtar Mandir. Later, Prime Minister will visit Mata Annapurna Mandir. After that, he will perform darshan and puja at Ram Darbar Garbhagriha, which will be followed by darshan at Ram Lalla Garbhagriha.
And in the afternoon, the Prime Minister will ceremonially hoist a saffron flag on the shikhar, or the pinnacle of the sacred Sri Ram Janmabhoomi temple in Ayodhya. This symbolizes the completion of the temple's construction, and it ushers in a new chapter of cultural celebration and also national unity. The Prime Minister will be addressing the gathering on the historic occasion. And we are joined by Dr. Hiraman Tiwari, Professor of Indian Culture and History at JNU. He's joining us via video link. Thank you very much, Dr. Tiwari. If we have to talk about today as a significant day, significant from the spiritual and cultural point of view, first could you highlight a little bit about that, why it's auspicious and significant from the spiritual and cultural point of view?
Thank you, Mark, and thank you, Shubhendu. Very, very pleased to join you on this, really, as you said, it's a spiritually and culturally extremely significant day, because any flag, as you said, Dharma Dhwaja, that flies or flutters atop a temple or a palace, signifies the prominence of that person or the king or the deity, in this case, Ramlala. And the temple of Ramlala, as we all know, as you have been saying in your packages and in your opening statements, has been constructed now after a long, long wait. So, as you said, this shikhara, or the pinnacle, or as it is called, the kalasha, one of the 5 main and many other aspects of any temple. This flag will flutter parallel to what is called as cupola or kalasha, and therefore these symbols that you have set on this flag, that is the Surya Vamsha or Raghu Vamsha, or the sign of the sun, and the dynasty to which Lord Rama belonged. And therefore, without this flag, the temple perhaps would not be absolutely complete in its full glory and its sacredness. And it is an auspicious occasion for many reasons. One, that of course Ram signifies the spirit of this country. Many leaders, many saints, many scholars and philosophers have said so many things about Ram, that without Ram we cannot really imagine this culture and civilization. Therefore, the construction of the Grand Temple on the top of this, the construction of the Grand Temple and hoisting of the flag today, which the date has been chosen by the priest, auspicious day, and this also signifies the completion of the temple. As you know, it started a few years ago. It was inaugurated early last year, that is in 2024, but 2023-24, and now, as you know, as the organizers and those who are in charge of building the temple have announced that the important aspect, all the temples have been now built, and so it is ready in its full glory, as it has been envisaged many years ago that the Ram temple will be built. It has been built. The dreams of millions and millions and millions of people have been realized. And to top that dream, to signify that dream and to glorify that dream, this Pataka Dhwaja, as it is called, our Dharma Dhwaja, as you mentioned, Mark and Shubhendu, in your opening statement, this is the flag of the righteousness, of the truth that signifies the place of this temple in the minds and hearts and in the civilization of India.
Right. Dr. Hiraman Tiwari, good morning. Shubhendu here. Now, Lord Ram, his legacy must mean so much to devotees, to those who follow his value system. But I ask this question to you as a historian. How do you see the significance of this day, especially when you look at ancient Indian history, ancient India, 21st century coming together?
Absolutely, you're absolutely right, Shubhenduji, that this is completes an absolutely full circle, that in the most ancient times, this dynasty of Ram, who became Lord, who has been treated as Lord for thousands of years, and at some point in history, as you said, history is often very cruel to some people. It indeed has been cruel to Ayodhya, to Ram's legacy and to spiritual legacy and religious legacy for some people. And for those of us, even literary legacy of the story of Ram, as it's been described by Valmiki in the Valmiki Ramayana, has now, as you said, come full circle. There was a time when the desecration, the destruction of Ram Temple happened some 500 odd years ago, and since then, whatever the place and whatever the conflicts and the historical ups and downs, people have been waiting that one day this temple will be built. It has now been built. It has had, as you know, a very, very tortuous, in many ways, very bloody history. The struggle for people to get this temple, because it was destroyed with not a very good intention. It was not something to destroy, to rebuild a temple. It was to undermine the glory, the legacy of Rama. And the question that you asked about historicity, as I mentioned to you, for thousands of years, no poet, in my opinion, no intellectual, in my opinion, in last a few thousand years can afford to be called so if there were no stories and glories that have been sung by Valmiki in the original Ramayana in Sanskrit. And after that, hundreds of other Ramayanas have been written, including another very most popular, Tulsi's Ramayana, which was in fact composed in Ayodhya. So just imagine, for thousands of years, the devotees, and particularly in last 500 odd years, the devotees have been agonized, have been wounded, and there are many of them, millions, have died thinking that Ram Temple will be built. And today, and this of course establishes the truth as it is believed in our civilization, the righteousness, the dharma. You know, the emblem of the Ram Janmabhoomi is Ramo Vigrahavan Dharma, which simply means that Rama is the truth. It's only that in the form of a human being, and now in the form of Ram Lala and the beautiful idol that he is present there. So he is actually the one who signifies, who underlines, who in fact furthers the glory of truth, as you said, righteousness, dharma, right. And that is the base, the bottom, or the foundation of India's civilization.
Our correspondent Gautam Roy is joining us on the phone line from Ayodhya. Gautam, give us a sense of the occasion there, and put into context, we are talking about is the completion of the Ram Mandir, but it's really a collection of temples around the complex. And you have, through your reports, shown us, taken us really through the whole experience. So in this context, let me ask you once again to, take our audience through this whole spiritual experience.
Well, certainly, Mark, good morning. We're getting closer to the moment where the sacred saffron flag will be hoisted on top of the Sri Ram Janmabhoomi temple. Now, this is the main temple in this complex, which is about 28 hectares. It's quite big, and you can spend a day over here without realizing, that all the day is gone, and yet you've not been able to cover the entire complex. Because apart from the main temple, which has the main deity of Ram Lalla, then there's Ram Darbar as well. On top of that, on the first floor, there are multiple temples, multiple deities. There's Ganesh, there's Devi Ayodhya, there's Devi Annapurna, there's Durga, there's of course the Sapta Mandir, which I had mentioned earlier, which has the Saptadishis as well as figures like Shabari who had fed these fruits that Ram had, and she had tasted them to check their sweetness and whether they were not spoiled. And yet Sri Ram had those bear, they call bear, the berries, and there's a temple dedicated to her as well. There's a temple dedicated to his brother, Lord Lakshman as well, who went in the banishment that Ram had for 14 years. His wife went along with him, Ma Sita, and Lord Lakshman also went along, although he was not banished from the kingdom of King Dashrath. But so there's a temple dedicated to that as well, and it's called Sheshavatar because Lakshman is believed to be an incarnation of Lord Sheshnag, who is the king of serpents. So there's a separate, very beautiful little temple dedicated to Lakshman as well, with this amazing idol which has Sheshnag, sort of on top of the figure of Lakshman as well, holding a bow, which is his weapon to sling arrows at all kinds of demons and enemies. So it's a beautiful complex, and this is a completion of the temple that is being marked with the flag hoisting, the main temple. There are other places where still work is going on, but the main temple itself, which has Ram Darbar, that has been completed, and the Dhwajarohan, the Dham Dhwaj as it's being called, it's a large 22-foot long, 11-foot wide flag, which bears the emblem of the Sun dynasty to which Lord Ram belonged. Right. It will have an Om, which represents the universe. It will have a holy tree as well, which represents the dynasty of Lord Ram. And these will be depicted on top of the flag, which in itself is in 3 layers. It's been made by special flag makers and parachute makers in Ahmedabad. And there's still thread that's been used as well, golden thread also that's been used in the flag. So there will be a descendant flag which will be on top of flag towers, which has ball bearings at the base, so that the flag can turn whichever way the wind blows. So all these things have been kept in mind because it's very heavy, 2.5 kg, and it has been designed to ensure that it keeps fluttering in the wind whichever way it blows. And it will tell people all over the world that this is the temple is complete, the deity inside was consecrated earlier, and it's now blessing this entire area. Ayodhya is a holy city, has been a holy city for years, and this gives added to that.
Right, Gautam. Do stay with us while we take forward this conversation on the historic day of completion of Ram Temple in Ayodhya. Let me welcome Praful Ketkar, editor, organizer, joining us in the studio. Welcome, Praful. It's a very special day, a day that marks a sort of cross-section of historical, cultural and religious traditions of India. How do you see the significance of this moment when the completion of Ram Temple will be marked with the hoisting of the Dhwaja today?
See, this is a culmination of perhaps one of the longest movements for reclamation in history. For 492 years, the actual and the legal battle, and now this sort of culmination of that process. So this Dhwajarohan is also a kind of symbol of victory of dharma, the righteousness. And today is very significant day, the Vivaha Panchami that is called. Historically it is supposed to be the marriage anniversary of Prabhu Sri Ram and Mata Sita. And that is why this particular day is chosen. If you see the temple and the entry points that are completed now, this is a Nagari tradition. The temple is located in north, but this is a typical the southern temple tradition. And along with that, the 4 entry points that will be so all of them are named after 4 great seers of Bharat who contributed in reviving the knowledge tradition associated with temples and mutts. So one will be called as the Santa Ramanujacharya, then Jagat Guru Madhvacharya, then Shankaracharya, the main entry point, and the main tradition of Ayodhya that was called as the Ramanandi, so Ramanandacharya. So 4 entry points will be given with the 4 great sages who contributed in India's knowledge tradition. They were not just contributors to the knowledge tradition, they were great reformers of their time. So this entire temple complex, the remaining work will go on because still there are 2 important structures that will be coming up in the years. That is, one related to the hospital, the Dashrath hospital, and one is related to the Valmiki Gurukul. But that is adjacent to the temple. The main temple structure will be that is completed.
Right.
So from what started on 22nd January 2024 as the the Ram Mandir Prana Pratishtha. So it was basically the temple work, and the Ramlala Virajman actually was restored at his own place. Now this structural part of that is complete. That for me symbolizes this civilizational journey. There's something peculiar about Bharat, something peculiar about this Indian civilization, that despite these many onslaughts from external invaders, we have the ability, the resilience, the commitment to the idea of dharma, that is righteousness. I think this temple symbolizes all these things to me.
Indeed, and our correspondent Gautam Roy is on the ground, and he has been reporting. And let's play out one of his reports now. The Ram Janmabhoomi temple is a sprawling complex with multiple places of worship and other facilities and also attractions. And among its unique features is a temple dedicated to Lord Ram's brother Lakshman, and also 7 venerated figures, Maharishis, also Ma Shabri. Let's take a look at Gautam's report as he walks through the complex.
The sacred flag hoisting in Ayodhya will not only signify the completion of the Sri Ram Janmabhoomi temple, but the entire temple complex is dotted with places of worship, and one of them, quite unique, is right here in front of us. It's called the Sri Sheshavatar Mandir. It is perhaps one of the few, if not the only, temple dedicated to Lord Lakshman, the younger brother of Lord Ram, who went along when Ram was banished from the kingdom of Lord Dashrath, King Dashrath. He went along with Lord Ram's wife, Sita, and him, although he was not banished himself. And Lakshman is believed to be the incarnation of Sheshnag, Lord Sheshnag, the king of serpents. And this is a temple dedicated to him. And further to the south, there is Sapta Mandir as well, which is about all the people who were there in the time of Lord Ram himself. They were Maharshis, and there were revered figures like Devi Ahilya and Ma Shabri as well. And also we had other people associated with him. There are temples dedicated to them here as well. And they will serve as, well, global attractions for people to again come and visit this temple complex, one of the most revered Hindu places, destinations of worship in the world. With camera person Sunil, this is Gautam Roy in Ayodhya for DD India.
Well, let's go across to Dr. Hiraman Tiwari, a professor of Indian culture and history at JNU. Dr. Tiwari, you put into context the other structures as well. Now, the 7 temples for the Sapta Mandir, as it's called, but for our viewers who are not quite following the Hindi, just translating it to the 7 temples. To what extent is this, significant in the context of the overall story, and how important are these people, the Maharishis, in the knowledge dissemination that, let's say, we are going to talk a little bit later about Ram Rajya, what it implies, and the significance of it today as well. But just put into context why we have this Sapta Mandir there as well.
See, as Mark, you said that this signifies the Indian civilization and values. And in that value, of course, you have mentioned and touched upon it is in the background and in the foundation that it is a kind of statecraft, Ram Rajya, as you say. The Raja Ram signifies Dharma, and Dharma signifies righteousness. The kingdom, the statecraft, where everybody, it's a unique utopia as it is called in England, the kingdom where nobody is unhappy, where everybody is happy. That at least is the aspiration of every statesman, every ruler. Now, because all together make the civilization. Gautam was talking about Lakshmana's temple, unique temple, because if you remember the other story that the poets and other scholars and sages have sung, that Sheshanag is actually the support of Vishnu. So Lakshmana was the support of Rama throughout his 14 years and later 14 years of exile in the forest. And that exile was chosen by Ram on the basis of following the dharma. He simply says, if you read the Valmiki Ramayana, he explains why it is important for him to follow dharma, because he is the one, if he does not follow dharma, then who else will? And therefore, all those associated, and Shabari, it signifies an absolute devotion to a perfect person, perfect Lord. Lots of stories have been written about Shabari, and then other temple sages, Vasishtha and others, who were the spiritual preceptors, teachers of Ram and his family, and therefore all the temples are important. Lakshman is extremely important. Sita, of course, his queen, and Sita Ma, the goddess now. The idea, therefore, is that all those who have made Ram what he is as a complete incarnation of dharma, as it is said, Ramu Vigrahavan Dharma. And by the way, it is absolutely wonderful to see that someone who is supposed to be a sworn enemy, Marich, who wanted to, who acted, and because of his actions, Sita was abducted by Rama, that he became the golden fake deer, which Ram was chasing and trying to hunt. And it is Marichi who had advised his relative, his uncle Ravana, not to pick fight with Rama. And it is Maricha who said in Valmiki Ramayana, Ramu Vigrahavan Dharmaha, Satyaha Dharma Parayana. He is not only the follower of Dharma, righteousness. In fact, if Dharma or righteousness were to appear before us in any other form, it has to be Rama. Therefore, it would be better for you to have an agreement and listen to him rather than fight with him. So the entire Indian civilization values, the knowledge tradition on the basis of which a lot of knowledge has been produced, all these sages and those who are important in building I'm not talking about the narrative, in signifying what dharma is, their temples have been built. It's a huge complex, as Prabhuji said, it's an auspicious day that has been chosen, and also it signifies the completion, as you said, of the temple when the Dharma Dhwaja, the flag, the righteous flag of Rama, this Raghu or the Surya dynasty or solar dynasty, flies atop of flutters parallel to Kalasha, the copula on top of the main temple, and there are, as Gautam describes, several 2 or 3 floors, and then many other temples which completes. So anybody who visits this temple, who does not have any knowledge or detailed knowledge of the civilization, will go from one to the other place and have a complete picture of what Indian civilization, and civilization cannot be a civilization unless the statecraft has been perfected, and that statecraft has been perfected by by Ram, who became Lord Ram, and therefore, because after all he was a prince who was denied the kingdom, and he, rather than fighting, he wanted to follow the chase what is called dharma or the righteousness, and that is how he has become. Everybody wants to be Ram, but nobody can be. That is the delectable, the dilemma that every person who learns about him, who is a devotee of him, wants to be. And therefore, his story, his life, and all the literature I mentioned to you earlier, in the 5,000 years old history of India, I cannot think of a great poet, I cannot think of a great writer who can be that without actually getting inspiration from the story of Rama. So there is no dearth of, one more thing I wanted to tell you, which is again a historical pattern, that the 4 doors that have been named after 4 major aspects of Indian civilization. One is a non-dualism, that is Shankaracharya. Another is Ramanujacharya, who brings in dualism with a difference, and he brings in a certain kind of soul and the Lord. And the third is something that a person is meditating whether I am the soul or whether I need a deity or a god to discuss ourselves. And the other is the very generic, very sort of popular tradition in the country where each of us are familiar with. So these gates also are somehow giving the structure of Indian knowledge system. So the temple has been built, as I said, in a Nagara style, which is a southern Indian style, a beautiful, attractive temple. And it also signifies the knowledge tradition of India, right from when Valmiki wrote this story of Rama. And therefore, this, to me, this temple, the struggle for 500 years, which is, as I said, bloody and tortuous, once the battle was won, then the completion of the temple, an aspect of India's civilization has been repaired in a way, because it is a kind of reparation, but the reparation was a very, very hard and long-fought struggle. So this temple signifies the basis of Indian civilization, the flourishing of Indian civilization, and of course, the assessment of Indian civilization.
Right. Praful, you shared with us insights on the significance of the day, the Muhurat that is there today, also the unique architecture of the temple. Shall we talk about the main event, the Dhwajarohan, the flag hoisting? Not many devotees would have witnessed flag hoisting of a temple. Now, in itself, the flag is very rich in symbolism. If you can tell us a little more about it.
See, in every tradition, we have a certain, the symbolism, and in Indian tradition, the flag and the saffron flag has been the consistent. When in fact, Ram has already left Ayodhya, he is on the way to Chitrakoot, and Bharat is, after coming back to Ayodhya, realized that Ram is not there and the coronation is not taking place, and because of his mother, everything this has happened. So he moves to Chitrakoot with the entire army, and after seeing this from the long distance, Lakshmana assumes that somebody is coming to invade us, cornering us in the forest. And then Ram says, no, this is a flag of Ayodhya, and if this flag is there, then it means Bharat is coming to meet me. So this is the same flag that is going to be hosted, that symbolism is still there. Mark asked about the temples, these 7 temples, and it has to do with the flag also, because every time that, see, this color and the symbols that are used, that are the symbols of sacrifice, that are the symbols of righteousness, that is the symbols of truth, that is the symbols of holistic existence. And that is why this particular flag and these 7 temples. Now, what are those 7 temples? One is Valmiki, other is Tulsidas. 2 great poets who took the story of Ram to the masses. One is in Sanskrit, the other is in pure Awadhi, total colloquial, but still very popular. 2 women who symbolizes the status of women in India. One, Shabari, who comes from a so-called tribal tradition, but still a great devotee of Ram. And another, Ahilya, wife of a rishi who was banished because of her some sin, supposed to be sin. And Ram believes that if you are pious, if you have done something wrong, you have every right to come up and lead your life. You cannot stay in your past. Then three rishis, Agastya, Vasishtha and Vishwamitra. Vasishtha is a Rajaguru, so he is a symbol of the rules and regulations in Ayodhya. Vishwamitra is actual guru of Sri Ram and Lakshman and all the four brothers. And Agastya is the person who has taken the story of Ram up to Indian Ocean. So in the southern part, Agastya is these are the 7 temples. These are connecting dots of Indian society. These are connecting dots of our timeline. These are connecting dots of various traditions that made Sri Ram Ram, Bhagwan Ram, Lord Ram. So from Ayodhya, what starts with Balakand, what actually culminates up to Uttarakhand. This entire journey is symbolized by every character that Ram is. So from Ayodhya to Lanka and coming back to Ayodhya is not a journey of just 14 years. It is a journey of understanding Bharat as a living civilization. And that living civilization connects each and every part of society with pure devotion, with pure knowledge, with pure, the desire to be the perfect person. And that's why in Indian society, we never thought the things in terms of binaries. There are certain places where even Ravan is worshipped. But Ravan still is burned on Vijayadashmi day in front of his temple, because then he becomes the symbol of, for knowledge he may be considered great, but on Vijayadashmi day as a symbol of adharma, he is burned there. So I think this is a reverence to this knowledge tradition, the continuity, as our constitution also does. Our constitution comes up with the idea of creation of new state structure. But while doing that, what kind of symbolism we used? First chapter of our constitution starts with the Vedic Gurukul. But the third chapter, which is one of the most fundamental, important chapters of Indian constitution, that is on fundamental rights, it symbolizes Ram, Lakshman and Sita coming back to Ayodhya. The restoration of Ramarajya is idea of perfect individual freedom and collective rights. So this restoration of idea that your individual and collective is not contradictory to each other, they are complementary to each other. That symbolizes, Mark wanted to discuss about Ramarajya. So that is the foundational philosophy. That is why our chapter 3 of Indian Constitution, symbolizes. So this symbolism in terms of flag, our original flag in 1907 when Bikaji Kama during freedom struggle came up, she had only a saffron flag with Vande Mataram written on it. The first flag that was designed as a symbol of India's freedom struggle. Now, as a nation we might have different, as a state we might have different flag and it also has different symbolism. Like for example, Supreme Court has Yato Dharmas Tato Jaya. So the victory is where the Dharma lives. So similarly, this saffron flag that is being hoisted today is our civilizational flag. Every battle, even during the battle of Kurukshetra, today is again important day, Gita Jayanti. So the recitation of Gita by Bhagavan Sri Krishna as a giving a life message to Krishna was completed yesterday. And that's why Gita Jayanti was celebrated. And that is why today is the day, the Margashirsha Panchami, the month Margashirsha and the Panchami, the 5th day, where Sri Krishna actually showed his real avatar to Arjuna while talking about the Gita and the life lessons.
On this day.
Why you should, on this day. So That is why this day is very, very significant, and this symbolism in terms of flag also is very important, that restoration of those civilizational values in the form of hoisting this flag at this historic temple.
Indeed, a fascinating discussion. But let's listen to the Deputy Chief Minister of Uttar Pradesh, Brajesh Pathak, expressing gratitude to Prime Minister Narendra Modi on the auspicious and historic day of the flag hoisting.
आदरणीय प्रधानमंत्री नरेंद्र मोदी जी का आगमन व उत्तर प्रदेश के हम सब कार्यकर्ता स्वागत के लिए उत्सुक हैं और सनातन सत्य का चरमोत्कर्ष दुनिया देखेगी जब ध्वजारोहण होगा। ये मैं कह सकता हूँ कि हजारों सालों के संघर्ष का आज पूर्ण होने जा रहा है और वर्षों से इंतजार था। मैं आदरणीय प्रधानमंत्री जी का बहुत बहुत आभार करता हूँ।
That was on the significance of the day, the flag hoisting. The Dhwajarohan of Ram Temple happens today, and Prime Minister Narendra Modi would be participating in those auspicious ceremonies. Dr. Hiraman Tiwari from JNU continues to be with us. Dr. Tiwari, one of the reasons why the day also becomes important is Prime Minister Modi's direct engagement with the auspicious ceremonies today. When you look back, how do you also see his engagements in diverse areas, but as of today, his engagement in reviving India's spiritual and civilizational traditions and celebrating them? How do you look at that aspect of his persona?
Yes, sure, absolutely right. I mean, a lot of ground has been covered by Prafulji on what actually India means, Indian civilization is, and that, of course, you have a Prime Minister who is an expert, an absolute master in his statecraft, but he cannot do that unless he underlines the values that this civilization is built on. And that value, of course, as we all say, and Prabhuji said, dharma. Let me take you a little back to the discussion and continue with what Prabhuji said. The two aspects of Indian civilization, particularly Indian civilization, by which they are known and by which at least Indian civilization is known, is the righteousness, that is the truth, and sacrifice, that is tyaga. So the temples that you are asking in the compound that are built, say Vasishtha symbolizes knowledge. Without knowledge, one cannot understand the righteousness, the truth, and then to realize that truth, without sacrifice, you cannot realize that truth. So therefore, at one level, if you look at thousands of years later today, these are the symbols. Vasishtha becomes the symbol of knowledge that he gave the spiritual and scriptural knowledge to Ram and his brothers and also his father. And Vishwamitra is the one who taught Ram and Lakshmana and his brothers the statecraft, how actually to deal with the situation in life in the entire forest. And Vishwamitra is also, I'm going in the language of symbolism now. He is also the one who negotiates and that brings two great families, that is Janaka and Dasarath, together. It is his friendship with Janaka, and Rama was in the forest with him, helping him in the process, also learning how to live a life, that Janaka's daughters were married to Ram and to his brothers, and of course Sita and others. So the one is the story as it has been written by Valmiki, and two other temples that Prabhuji mentioned are extremely important. They also more or less complete the circle in a way that Valmiki starts this great story of Lord Rama, his sacrifice, his upholding of righteousness or dharma, showing to the world how a human being, if they want to become human, if Lord Rama came in the form of human and Tulsi would believe and let us believe and make us believe, then he is the one who starts. And Tulsi writes in a most simple, one writes in Sanskrit, and the other writes in the language, as he himself said, of Gramya language, of the villagers' language, where everybody, a common person, can understand. And therefore the fourth gate is Ramanandi, which is everybody who is not actually well versed in the scriptures and spiritual teachings and books can also benefit or own that legacy of dharma. So tyaga and dharma, the righteousness and sacrifice, symbolizes the life of Rama, and therefore the entire temple must reverberate with these two foundations of Indian civilization, on the basis of which the texts have been written, on the basis of which poets have been written. One of the great Hindi poets, Sumitra Pant, says, "Rama tumhara charita swayam hi kavya hai. Koi kavi ban jaye sahaj sambhavya." He says, I will not be surprised if anybody becomes a kavi or a great poet, because if he or she reads or knows and learns the story of Rama, because the story of Rama in itself is a very poetic existence of the civilization. So it begins with the poetry of Valmiki. So the story of Rama has been written in poetry, because it is in many ways the dharma or righteousness or truth has been said in a very poetic, in a very sweet form. Right. And Tulsi culminates the entire thing by bringing it to everybody. Somebody who is not actually, as I said, learn a great language or learn literature, and therefore the fourth gate must signify that. So these are four different aspects. So they become a four pillars of Indian knowledge system. The non-dualism, non-difference, and if there is a difference, there is a realization of something big. And then, of course, the ambivalence, the dilemma, that whether I am one or everybody, and of course for everybody. So that is the spiritual and literary and knowledge aspect of it.
Let's experience some of what Professor Tiwari is talking about. You know, there are children in Ayodhya, and they're all set to be singing. They're singing bhajans, they're singing Vedic mantras. Let's listen to them to understand these mantras are actually to attract wealth and prosperity by shifting energies and removing obstacles.
And before we take forward the conversation on the special day, we'll go across live now to Ayodhya. These are live visuals of the magnificent Sri Ram temple in Ayodhya, all decked up for the special occasion, decked up in flowers. We heard the chanting by young priests and students. In a short while from now, Prime Minister Narendra Modi would be at the venue participating at the key event, the Dhwajarohan, or the hoisting of flag on Sri Ram temple. Mark?
Indeed, those were visuals, and we'll continue to get those visuals. Our correspondent Gautam Roy is also standing by. But we are putting this into the larger context and understanding the significance of the occasion. We have with us Mr. Praful Ketkar, editor organizer, with us in the studio. Mr. Ketkar, if I have to ask you, you know, from the political meets the spiritual, or let's say, you know, at a level there's also a political story. And Ram Rajya, we did mention, we've described it, we've understood that it's about justice and dharma. But in the context of today's world, you know, one says that religion must be away from politics. Why is it different in this context?
See, Mark, when we talk about the idea of secularism and the separation of religion and state in the European context, it has a very different connotation, simply because there is something very organized religious structure in the form of church which needed to be, in terms of power, needed to be separated from. In Indian context, what Gandhi called as the spiritualization of politics. In fact, he talked about so for us, the religion is not just about the temple or the way of worship, or it is about the way you are conducting yourself. Whether it is uplifting your level of consciousness in terms of working for others, giving something for others, and that's why almost all Indian languages, charity is translated as dharmartha. So what you do something for dharma, to connect with others. So this reclamation of this temple is not just about religion. Religion is very small part of it. It is about the idea whether you should have a right to. Yesterday we celebrated the martyrdom day of Guru Tegh Bahadur, who was killed for standing up for something which is a fundamental right that Indian civilization espouse, that is a right to spiritual democracy. You have a right to choose your own path. Somebody denying it and somebody saying is my way is the only way, and that's why you don't have a right to exist. The invasion that actually destroyed the temple of Ram was a destruction of fundamental idea of spiritual democracy.
Right.
In that sense, this restoration is about, this is not about denying somebody a right to worship. This is about reclaiming that everybody should have a right to worship.
Right.
As per his
Praful,
or
we'll
her
take this
choice.
idea forward. We'll quickly go across live to Ayodhya. Our colleague Gautam Roy is reporting from there. Gautam, good location. We can see the Sri Ram temple in the background. Tell us, give us a sense of the mood there. Moments from now, Prime Minister would be coming and participating in that key event of flag hoisting. Take us through what you're witnessing at the moment.
Yes, Shvendu, good morning. It is ecstatic, it's exciting. People are also filled with anticipation because they've been rushing to, grab their chairs, because this is something, an event which has been much awaited because it signifies the completion of the Ram Janmabhoomi temple structure that you see behind me. On top of that, you can see the pinnacle as well, is where the holy, sacred saffron flag will be hoisted to signify that the temple has been completed. There was one juncture when the deity Ram Lala, the black granite idol, that was consecrated, and now it's the completion of this particular structure, the temple. Although the complex itself is huge, it's 28 hectares, and there are multiple smaller temples here to other deities, several deities. There are 33 types of deities that the Hindu faith has. It's misconstrued that Hindu faith has 33 crore or 330 million deities. It's 33 different types actually, and they're classified according to that. But this particular temple has been completed, and which is why it's such a great occasion. You can see the temple has been completely decked up. There are bhajans being performed, holy songs being performed in the praise of Lord Ram. He is, of course, what brings everyone, all the people here, all the invitees, thousands of them, all around the temple really. The design is such that there are people who have to be seated all around the temple, and they put, because only a limited number of people could face the stage itself when the flag hoisting will happen, and Prime Minister Modi will perhaps be delivering a speech as well. Apart from others, we've seen the General Secretary of the Tirth Kshetra Trust, Mr. Shampath Rai, also addressing people a short while ago, who explained that they have put LED screens in all corners so that people can see what's been happening on the stage, and they can get a glimpse of that big moment when the flag hoisting is carried out as well. So it's all building up to that. Thousands of people coming in, streaming in to the temple complex, which is huge. So it's quite a bit of a padyatra, One has to walk a lot to get to the main prangan, the forecourt. Right. And that's what people are doing even now, when the moment is building up to the Prime Minister's arrival, to the arrival of Arthur, yes, Bhagavad as well, and a lot of other things will be present.
Gautam, stay with us. We're getting news coming in that Prime Minister has reached Ayodhya in Uttar Pradesh. We'll be getting you more updates on that, the Prime Minister's movements there. Gautam is with us. Gautam, you're just giving us a sense of the occasion and the number of people there. Now, just describe for us the kind of crowd or the audience or the invitees, in a sense, for this occasion, because it's a very inclusive group, one understands.
They say that Ram sabke hai, Ram belongs to everyone and everyone belongs to Ram. But it wasn't possible to invite everyone, which is why, as it was explained to us by the Eid Trust General Secretary, Chapat Rai, I had an extensive conversation with him yesterday. He said that we have to choose carefully, and this time we chose to invite people from particularly eastern Uttar Pradesh, and they were divided into zones as well. So about 3,000 plus people have been invited from these areas in Uttar Pradesh, eastern Uttar Pradesh. People have special love for Ram, and several other, in fact, incarnations of Lord Vishnu as well, particularly Krishna, if you further travel towards the north and west in Uttar Pradesh itself. So these people have been invited according to different categories, 4 categories, and there are other special invitees and lots of peers who've been invited, and people from all cross sections of the society in Ayodhya, Faizabad itself, people who run small shops, people who are professionals like CAs and doctors, journalists, lots of journalists have also been invited. I have the good fortune of being here too. It is an amazing sight to see the way this temple has been decked up with a lot of marigold flowers, both yellow and of course orange, and the leaves of the mango tree that really adorn every corner, apart from different other flowers as well. And very thoughtful decorations, a lot of work has gone into it. The temple complex has been completely spruced up, cleaned up, and we have live singing going on. If you can hear it in the backdrop right now, the bhajans being performed, there are singers, there's a whole band, so to speak, of with the traditional Indian instruments. You can hear the tabla and the other basuri, the flute as well. So all that has been, a lot of effort has gone into it, because it is a grand moment, a big moment of the completion of the Ram temple here.
Right. Gautam, also you're getting us those glimpses of celebrations, the festive mood in Ayodhya. Could you also give us a sense of what it means for the people of Ayodhya to witness this day? About the past couple of years, they've really seen what was earlier perhaps a sleepy temple town transform. Give us a sense of how are they looking at this day?
They are looking at better days to come, more people visiting this temple town. It has over 6,000 temples of all sorts, a lot of them dedicated to Ram and Sita as well. But we've seen numbers already going up into millions, really, from the time the consecration happened. And these numbers are supposed to swell, because people from all corners of not just the country but the entire globe have been visiting this temple, even when it was under construction. And now that it's complete, it's going to be a different sort of magnet for all faithfuls to come. And we see how the occasion itself has brought people here, and they are looking to gain from it. Already the city has seen a sea change in terms of its infrastructural development. New roads have been built. It has a spanking new airport which was inaugurated in 2023 itself. It's an international airport which will be connecting to, which already is connected to certain international destinations, but more connections will come. It's connected to all corners of the world. The rail connectivity of Ayodhya is from all corners of India now. Right. It extends from Kanyakumari to Kashmir, and from the northeast to the westernmost point in Gujarat and in Rajasthan as well. So that kind of sea chain is coming in. A lot of business being generated as well. Jobs being created. So already a lot has changed for Ayodhya, and there's more in store, clearly.
Let's continue with our discussion here in the studio and with Professor Tiwari. Mr. Ketkar, you were making a point, actually. We were talking about, the political and the spiritual, and the context why it's important and relevant in India. We also, if I bring in the aspect of moral, ethical governance. I mean, at the end of the day, the source of that has to come from some sort of a spiritual root, isn't it? How would you contextualize that in the, let's say you were both speaking about the struggle for the last 490 plus years for this moment. How would you look at that, because this is being seen by everyone as a culmination of a deep, long struggle, which is also spiritual in a sense.
Absolutely. See, this is one struggle where, as I said, at the core was Ramanandi's who believed in, Ram as the God. But besides that, there was a Nirmohi Akhada. There was a Sikh gurus who, worshipped there. At one point, Peshwas tried to liberate it. Ayodhya is one town, Gautam was talking about various temples. It is perhaps the only town where the Jain, Buddhist, Sikh, all sacred gurus and tirthankars and have stayed and someday in their life have taken darshan in Ram. All Indian traditions, all Indian sects have somehow got connected to Ayodhya. So the meaning of Ayodhya itself is a yuddha, where the war doesn't take place, where the peace prevails. Now in Indian context, the idea of sovereignty and the idea of peace had very peculiar connotation. Political power cannot be absolute. Even for Ram, political power is not supposed to be absolute. Dharma danda, as we have now behind our speaker, the restoration of that danda is basically the authority, or the moral and the spiritual authority. Somebody is there to always guide you, always make a sort of guide you in terms of the right moral and spiritual decisions that you need to make while sitting there on the political power. And that's why in modern context it is the people of the country. They are the sovereign, they are the people who are the guiding force, and that's why you have to renew your mandate in the form of elections and take guidance from them. So it is a more dialectical process. So political power is not just as in the Hobbesian sense, very or Machiavellian sense, very brutal kind of power. It is more a righteous kind of power. It is more a power that connects your the individual preferences and decisions with the collective interest. That bridge has to be created somewhere, and that bridge is symbolized by the idea of Ramarajya in Indian context.
Right. Dr. Hiraman Tiwari, if we can bring the same thought to you, how does the legacy of Lord Ram in many ways represent the overlap of religious, spiritual and political value system of India?
It's a fascinating discussion that you and Mark are having with Prafulji here. And let me just go back to what Prafulji alluded earlier, on the basis of which then Mark raised a wonderful fundamental question, that whether you look at a civilization or a governance or a place as spiritualization of governance or politicization of spirituality, whether spiritualization of politics or politicization of spirituality. If you look at these contexts, then you have to, in any case, every civilization has to depend on symbols, because these symbols are capsules or the tunnels to look into the history, to go back. So in Indian context, these temples, or even the flag, even today in modern democracies and not democracies, the flag becomes the symbol of a nation. Therefore, flag becomes a sort of capsule of the knowledge of the existence of that civilization or a country or the polity.
And Dr. Tiwari, I'll just stop you for a moment. We're getting those live visuals of Prime Minister Narendra Modi's entourage. Special road show that Prime Minister is participating in. These visuals coming in from the temple town of Ayodhya. The occasion, the religious flag hoisting of at Sri Ram Temple by Prime Minister Narendra Modi. And these visuals coming in live from Ayodhya. Prime Minister reached Ayodhya a short while ago, and he will be participating, we're told, in a special road show. The visuals of his entourage, his vehicle right at the front, and we also see how the city is all decked up, the garlands decorating the sides of the roads. People have gathered. There are also many dharm dhwajas being used to decorate the city in particular, and those visuals, closer visuals of Prime Minister Narendra Modi's entourage and Prime Minister from his car waving at all the people who've lined up Also the national flag, important day when spiritual national traditions come together, and Prime Minister Narendra Modi acknowledging the greetings of people who all gathered on the lanes of Ayodhya to welcome Prime Minister as he participates in the special occasion. There is the chantings, there's a national flag, people decked up in their traditional clothes, and Prime Minister's entourage in the visuals.
Indeed, yes, and Prime Minister will be offering prayers at Sri Ram Mandir. He will also participate in the ceremonial flag hoisting of the saffron flag atop the temple, and this is the auspicious occasion of the Viva Panchami, which have been talked about by our guests. It's a traditional celebration of Lord Ram and Sita's wedding. There are lots of significances with the flag. The flag will represent really the radiance of the sun, and it has a Kovidara tree and a sacred symbol, that's Om. It represents what Lord Ram stands for in terms of brilliance, valor, and the ideals of governance. Also, Prime Minister has described Lord Ram as the soul of India, the basis of India's consciousness and pride.
And those were visuals coming in from Ayodhya. Prime Minister Narendra Modi's entourage. Prime Minister is at the venue. He'll be participating in a roadshow, we told Mark, and then the event that everyone's been waiting for, the Dhwajarohan, the flag hoisting ceremony that takes place in a short while from now. Dr. Hiraman Tiwari, you were giving us your insights on this very important aspects of Lord Ram's legacy as we see it play out in spiritual, religious and political traditions. Please complete your thought. Dr. Hiraman Tiwari.
Of spirituality.
Yes, please, sir.
Whether it is whether we look at this polity as the politicization of spirituality or spiritualization of politics in India, and Indian civilization has it that you have to, of course, no society, no civilization can run without some political structure. If that political structure is built on the basis of spirituality, dharma, which actually from which everything originates, it's a centrifugal point from which all the rulers in India have tried to draw their inspiration. So we are talking about symbols today. Thousands of years down the line, symbols are extremely important. As I said, even the national flags are important for each country. And therefore, for India, dharma becomes important. What is dharma? Let us ruminate about it. The rumination of dharma is that if you want to have a dharma society, or the polity which is run on the basis of dharma, where nobody will have to face injustice. In fact, if you read the lofty high words of Valmiki, where he says that the rains must not come unless they are required. If you think in terms of the COP conferences or climate conferences, this is what the world is struggling today. What do we do to our not only to humans and to animals, but also to the nature, to the trees, to the mountains, to the trees, to the rivers? And that is the basis for a king also. And the literature is full of that. And the second aspect that I was talking about, that symbols are important, which are another name for this symbol is also smriti or memorialization. Prapulji mentioned whether you want to go into the modern political and philosophical understanding of politics of Hobbesian's kind or Machiavellian in politics. This is absolutely divorced from what India would be understanding its politics, its running of the statecraft. And if I mention to you, it stems from the Vedic tradition says, Yashya yatra vishwam bhavati ekanidam, where the entire universe, entire world becomes one, on the basis of which a later tradition comes up, Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, where the entire earth, all the worlds are family. If somebody thinks about the world like that, what would you think about your own society, your own family, your own kingdom? So that is the basis. And this is why the life of Rama, the story of Rama, and everybody associated with him is extremely important for running the polity of the nation. And Prime Minister Narendra Modi is trying to do that. And therefore, he wears this spiritualization of his politics on his sleeve. He does not hide it. The Indian dharma can never be easily translated in any words. For want of a better word, people do use religion, but that is not what dharma is. Dharma is the establishment of the truth and the justice, and as Marx said, ethical and moral values. If a society is thought of, a kingdom is thought of, a polity is thought of, a nation is thought of on the basis of the ethics and moral values, and this is, of course, should be the attempt of every ruler. And therefore, we have a very thousands of years of history and memory to celebrate that. One of the words for memory is smriti, and smriti is also something that brings the knowledge from the past to us. And the Smriti text. And therefore, Indian civilization, this temple of Rama, you go to modern philosophers, I mentioned about poets. Prabhuji had several years ago reminded me of a very great article by a great socialist leader of India, Dr. Ram Mandir from this state, who writes a beautiful article, 1956, a long article on Rama, Krishna and Shiva. How do we understand India, Indian politics, Indian civilization, if we do not think of the lives of the three major deities, major gods of this country, that is civilization, that is Rama, Krishna and Shiva? All three have very beautiful, melodious sort of combination to sustain this civilization. And therefore, when you talked about, and Prabhuji talked about, everybody talks about the struggle of thousands of years. It's not the struggle only of 500 years, because 500 years is a rather brutal, as I said, torturous and tortuous struggle. But whenever there is a disturbance of this statecraft, which is based on moral and ethics, then people do go back and look at their civilizational values. India has in its civilization values a spiritual text and a story, a life which can help us run even today our society in perfect modern democracy. Of course, democracy changes over time, and Indian democracy is a very Indian democracy in that sense, and that democracy is steeped and inspired by the story of Ram.
Indeed, Mr. Ketkar, so we are seeing visuals of the Prime Minister driving through Ayodhya, and if we look back to the story of Ram, Lord Ram himself, and his coming back to Ayodhya, one can look at perhaps what would have happened at that time. But, this, though one can't quite compare the two, one can see that here Prime Minister has played a significant role in this whole movement, in the creation and the building of the Ram temple, and its culmination now. It's a culmination story, and here the Prime Minister is arriving.
Mark, see, many people ask this question, and earlier Gautam was also mentioning about it. Many people ask, what is the significance of temple? Will temples give jobs? Why? And Ayodhya is a telling story. I always ask youth a different question. Tell me one single moment in Indian civilizations where temples were destroyed and jobs were created. It is always the other way around. When Indian temples thrived, Indian economy thrived. And there has been a relation, and Prime Minister understands this very well. He's developing a new idea of, a civilizational and cultural tourism in India. Whether you talk of Buddha circuit, whether you talk of Krishna circuit, even Dr. Ambedkar circuit. So it gives a totally different kind of, because see, one particular knowledge tradition that has been through in Indian tradition, irrespective of the way of worship, is bhakti, the devotion. Because this idea of being, something sacred, and then you have to visit it once in life. It's a pure, and that is why and Prime Minister ideologically, there are three kinds of constructs that are being discussed and debated in India. One that believed, which British taught us, and many Indian elite believed, that India is some sort of nation in the making. We were making a new state, But as a nation, we were, very ancient civilization. The idea and the construct of Bharat as a Rashtra has been very old. But unfortunately, British taught us that you are a nation in the making. You were never a nation. Because of us, you are a nation. And you understood nationalism. Then there was an ideology largely coming from the Marxist or the communist school. They don't believe in the idea of nationhood. For them, class struggle is important, and India has been a conglomeration of many nationalities. Prime Minister comes from a school which believes that India has been an ancient nation. In terms of the cultural unity and integrity, this has been one Rashtra. Maybe in governance structure we were more decentralized, having different states, models of governance. But when it comes to the idea of India, idea of Bharat, Himalaya was always Himalaya and Indian Ocean was Indian Ocean. Ayodhya was always Ayodhya and Ganga was always Ganga. The priest of Kedarnath always went from Kerala, and the priest in the southernmost corner of India, the another Jyotirlinga, always comes from Himachal Pradesh. Kashi priest is always from Tamil Nadu. And this has been the tradition. Who gives invitation to Kumbh? But many people, throng there, on a particular Muhurat. And this was, when they were living in very different states governed by different princely. So those princely states were more sort of who will collect revenue in which part of it. But when it comes to the cultural unity of Bharat, the ideas, the worldview, it was the same. And that's why you find common terminologies, you find common concepts, you find common ideas, reverence to the land, reverence to the nature, the idea of Ram and idea of Krishna. Ram connects north and south, Krishna connects, and again I'm invoking Dr. Lohia. He says, Ram connects north and south, Krishna connects east to west, and Shiva with Shakti is the complete manifestation of India's cultural consciousness. So Kailasa and Kanyakumari, that symbolism. So all these things makes Bharat as Bharat. That is the thing that made us survive all these onslaughts, right from the Greek invasion to the British colonization. This symbol again is the process of decolonization and renationalization of Bharat. Many symbols that we rejected during our freedom struggle, that we don't want to follow certain things. We don't want to, unless we have our own representation, unless we have our own, there was one beautiful essay that was written, Professor Hiraman Tiwari can perhaps throw more light on it, on Swaraj in ideas. So it is not about the political Swaraj, it is not just about the political independence. Unless in terms of your intellect, unless in terms of your cultural and social life, unless your systems are governed by your will, your national will, you are not really independent. And that is the idea, and that is why Tagore talks about Swadeshi Samaj, or Gandhi talks about Gram Swaraj. So all these ideas basically were rooted in this fundamental thought process that our struggle for freedom is not just a political struggle. It is a very comprehensive struggle to reclaim our selfhood. And Rama Janmabhoomi movement is a culmination of that idea of reclaiming selfhood of Bharat.
And Praful, we're looking at, again, for the viewers who've just joined us, those visuals on your screens are of Prime Minister Narendra Modi driving through the streets and lanes of Ayodhya. He has reached the temple town to participate in a very special ceremony. The Dhwajarohan at Shri Ram Temple in Ayodhya takes place today. In just a short while from now, Prime Minister Narendra Modi would be participating in it. In the visuals, you can see the city all decked up, beautifully decorated with garlands, people on the lanes showering petals and welcoming Prime Minister into the city. And Prime Minister also responding and sharing his greetings with the people. Praful, as we talk about the legacy and the significance of Lord Ram and even Ramayana, if I may refer to that context. Just a few days back, Prime Minister was in South Africa participating in the G20. A lot of important interventions he makes, hardcore economic and development interventions, but he also talks about India's civilizational value system, especially the system of integral humanism that the world is in need of today. How do you also see this concept of integral humanism, of individual, community and the universe coming together in the story of Ramayana as well?
See, the modern construct of life, especially the political ideas, basically rooted in this concept that individual and collective is somewhere contradictory to each other. If you have individual freedom, you cannot have collective order and equality. If you have collective order and equality, you can't have individual freedom.
The adversaries.
They're sort of adversaries, are contradictory to each other. So the life is seen mainly in terms of conflicts, and that is mainly rooted in the concept of the anthropocentric concept that human being and especially men are at the center of the universe. They are the rational beings. They are the ones to control the universe. So the modern idea of rationality, scientificism that evolved in Western ideas, integral ideas of India, where we see human life as part of nature and not something that has to be victorious over nature. That there the claim is, oh, if Earth is no problem, we will have something on Mars. That kind of attitude is there. Here we are part of nature, so we need to decode the laws of the nature and adjust our life according to it. So understanding, once you have this understanding of life, your life becomes integral. Then you are individual, you are collective, you are national and you are universal is not contradictory to each other. They are not, isolated spheres, but they are, a sort of cyclical spiral life where your consciousness increases from me to we to universal. And that is what, and once you do that, then your material and spiritual also is not contradictory. What Mark was asking, your spiritual and political is also not contradictory. It is part of holistic life, and therefore your economic progress is not seen something in contradiction with your spiritual progress. In fact, your progress is complete only if it is balanced between your spiritual and material prosperity. So that is why it is integral. It does not see the life and the spheres of life in compartments, but connected, interconnected whole. Ayodhya is one place. Imagine, we did not have this kind of means of communication. We did not have the people that Prime Minister met in South Africa, or many people he earlier met in say Suriname or Fiji. These were people who were taken as bonded laborers. They are called girmitiyas because in Bhojpuri there was no better word for agreements. So agreements turned into girmit. Agreements became girmit. They were termed as girmitiyas. Now what these people had? No hope. They didn't know even whether they were given some loan, and they were literally bought as slaves to work there on farms. What did they have with them? Only either Ramayana or Ramcharitmanas. That was the strength they carried. If Ram can come back, we can come back. If Ram has sustained these, all these ordeals with the mighty force of Ravan, we can fight with British. That kind of mindset one Ramcharitmanas gave them. And Professor Hiraman Tiwari is a scholar on Tulsi, and Ramcharitmanas he can give when he can actually quote Chaupais from it. That is what these people were singing when Prime Minister landed there. So that idea of strength of devotion, to fight for justice, to fight for dharma, to stand against injustice, to stand against adharma. That was given. What is the way, I simply fail to understand what is happening in Bali, or for that matter Korea. The Korean prince says, oh, I am the inheritor of the Raghuvamsha. I don't know. There were, when this Ramayana festival took place, I spoke to many troops coming from different countries, and they were from 45 countries. And when I asked them, the Indonesian troop, the Thai troop, the Korean troop, even troops coming from Africa, and I was just wondering, neither Valmiki had any connect with these parts of the world. We did not have means of communication, but still the story of Ramayana is sketching imagination of these people. What is so special? True. What is so special? This temple and this temple town. The tradition of carrying forward the Ram Katha from generations to generations. Every character, many of us may not have read Valmiki Ramayana, and still we know Ramayana. Many of us cannot understand Tulsi Ramayana, and still we know Ramayana. And not because we did not know Ramayana, and that's why Ramanand Sagar's Ramayana on Doordarshan became so popular. It was the other way around. We knew Ramayana, and still we would hook to Ramanand Sagar's Ramayana. That is the symbol of unity, the symbol of our incessant, continuous living civilization that symbolize in the form of Ram Temple and Ayodhya and Ramakatha.
True, wonderful, and we continue to stay with these visuals, and we can notice that the flower petals are, marigold, saffron in color, and we can talk a little bit about the symbolism of saffron, symbolizing auspiciousness, positive energy, also divine surrender, and we can see that these flower petals are being showered upon the Prime Minister's vehicle as he arrives in Ayodhya. So we are looking also at these visuals of the reception that the Prime Minister has received. The Prime Minister will be at the Ram Mandir in a short while, and then the events of the day will commence from there. We've been talking about that and putting that into context, the largest context in a sense, a whole ecosystem surrounding the the Ram Mandir and its significance. If we talk a little bit more about that ecosystem, Mr. Ketkar, when we look at ecosystems, we're now talking about them in the context of a startup culture, or for, India is a country that we are looking at as an emerging economic, a rising power. How does this connect with that? Because at the end of the day, people want to look at the future, as a future which, Ram Raja also speaks about the end of poverty, also abundance. So what is abundance in today's context?
See, abundance is where, the last man standing. One person I met when I visited Ayodhya during the Ram Mandir Prana Pratishtha ceremony. He was just a cobbler, and he said, out of my meager earning, I saved 501 rupees to contribute to the temple, for the temple construction. That was the devotion that he had, and it was not a devotion, it was a sense of ownership about this temple. So abundance is not just about having access. Abundance is about actually fulfilling your basic needs and still have a temperament to do something for others, to save and to contribute to the society, to save and do something better for others. So and that's why I said, for us, spiritual and material is not contradictory to each other. They complement each other. Everybody who has in some excessive form has to think as a what Gandhi called as the trusteeship. Once you develop that sense of trusteeship, in fact, Mark Megasthenes, when he came to India, he narrates something about very important about Indian society. He speaks about the two specific characteristics. He said, I've traveled through entire European and Asian continent and I've reached this land called Indica. He calls Indica that time. Right. And he says, this is the only land where I found females as sovereign. And two, he says, the gap between the poorest of the poor and the richest of the rich is not more than 1/4. Even if they have abundance, the word used, that's why it struck me. Even if they have something in abundance, when it comes to their fundamental lifestyle and the kind of clothing and the material joys they have, the difference is very meager. And that is why, we need to understand that for us, being rich is not to flaunt your extravaganza, but how much you conserve and give it back to the society. If you are poor and still you have a in Indian context, there were always people who were considered from 10% of India's community. In Valmiki Ramayana, in Upanishada, in Mahabharata, everywhere, we find 8 to 10% of community.
And so I think we will turn to some live shots coming in from
Valmiki Temple. Prime Minister has already reached there.
Prime Minister paying his respects at various temples in the premises of Ram Temple. Prime Minister just paid his respects at the Valmiki Temple. And those are visuals of Prime Minister Narendra Modi in the premises of Shri Ram Temple in Ayodhya.
Maharishi Vashishta, Maharishi Vishwamitra, Maharishi Agastya and Maharishi Valmiki.
Prafulji, as we're looking at these visuals, if you can also put in context the significance of these individual temples within Shri Ram Temple.
Yeah, these 7 temples, as I said, Valmiki, this is Devi Ahilya, and a great scholar, known to be a very, very righteous. This is Nishadaraj, a fisherman, who helped Shri Ram to cross over Narmada, and is a very known to be a very great friend. And when it comes to the his final fight, Mata Shabari, coming from a very small tribal community in Madhya Pradesh Maharashtra border, and this is Shri Valmiki,
who's the author of the Ramayana.
Ramayan.
And so
all these sages and seers, as I said, represent the continuity of our civilization, the knowledge systems, the knowledge traditions. That they are the ones who connected the Rama Katha with the entire nation and every section of society.
Right, and Prime Minister Narendra Modi is at Shri Ram Temple in Ayodhya. For the viewers who have just joined us, Prime Minister Narendra Modi offering prayers at the Sapt Mandir, which houses temples associated with Maharshi Vashishta, Maharshi Vishwamitra, Maharshi Agastya, Maharshi Valmiki, Devi Ahilya, Nishadraj and Mata Shabri.
Indeed,
these are important figures associated with Ramayana, with the legacy of Lord Ram. And Prime Minister, before the main event of the day, the Dhwajarohan, the flag hoisting, saffron flag on the shikhar of Shri Ram Janmabhoomi Mandir, Prime Minister paying his respects at the Sapt Mandir.
Indeed, these devotees, these devotions are also part of the overall structure as we were talking about, and Mr. Ketkar was telling us how the dots are connected. But if we look at Maharishi Vashishta, he was the guru of Lord Ram, and this is a symbolizes wisdom and dharma, because there is a guru to the Lord. And then there is Vishwamitra, who's the sage who taught Ram and Lakshman the powerful mantras that guided them in every battle. Then there is Maharishi Agastya, who is revered for his spiritual authority and contributions to the entire Vedic knowledge. And then, of course, there's Maharishi Valmiki, who is the author of the Ramayana, representing devotion through literature and storytelling. We also talked about that in our discussions about how literature of all kinds for thousands of years have, in some way or the other, invoked many of these characters. And Devi Ahilya is the wife of sage Gautama, who he was liberated by Lord Ram from a curse, and this symbolizes compassion. And this is Nishad Raj Guha, who was the tribal king, offered shelter and friendship to Lord Ram during exile, and a sign of loyalty. And Mata Shabri is a devoted ascetic who welcomed Lord Ram with fruits, symbolizing devotion, humility.